So how did you come to hear about the Aberdeen Youth Games?
Well, I'm chancellor of the university, so I tend to keep up with what's going on. And then I was asked to be an ambassador, along with Catherine Granger. I'd actually done some things with Catherine before, some philanthropic things before, so I was very pleased to do that. So I guess I was asked, and it's been a very enjoyable experience.
Yeah. And why in particular is it something you've taken an interest into compared to other projects that you could have invested in?
Well, I'm involved in lots of projects.
Yeah.
But I mean, I guess sport, there's a huge focus on academic achievement. I mean, sport is as much a part of young people's development as all other aspects of education. Sport can tend to be, frankly, too much based on winning and getting the best and focusing on that, and people doing huge commitments and training. I like the idea of young folks being exposed to a large number of sports.
Yeah.
Huge number of sports, and that undoubtedly possibly opens the door for them to find something they're good at. Every young person needs to have something they're good at, so the wider variety of opportunities you can present to them, the better. Sports is one of the best ways to learn to play as a team, and I mean, what I saw in the kind of big occasion last year was really delightful, because we had, what, 1,000 youngsters from all over Aberdeen, from different schools all over Aberdeen. That was good news, actually getting them all together. And they experienced a whole range, I mean, I spoke to a lot of them, a whole range of sports that they knew a little bit about but never got involved in before. And I think it was a very enjoyable experience for them, and it was very much a kind of, I don't know, it's like what's character forming, but helping inform them more about opportunities.
Yeah, well, they could get involved in stuff.
Yeah.
So, obviously you've mentioned that it gives them a chance to get involved in these sports and stuff and become aware of, experience how to be a team. What do you feel makes the Aberdeen Youth Games special or unique compared to maybe another event they could get involved in?
Well, first of all, we have got this schools from all over Aberdeen, and I think that's great, because I don't think there's enough occasions for young people at different schools to meet and mix with each other and talk to each other and do things together. I think the sheer size, I think the fact that you managed to attract so many supportive professionals from different sports. I mean, I was amazed at the variety of different sports that were there. I think that's unique. I think young people in sport associated with winning, the focus actually wasn't on winning, the focus was on understanding what the sport's about, what the opportunity is about, and frankly focus as much as well on sport improving themselves, doing things better. I think the kids all took a lot away from it.
Yeah. Do you see this as an opportunity for young people to discover talents that they may have thought that they never had, and that they can be motivated to lead a healthier lifestyle?
It's quite interesting when you talk to some pretty successful sports people about how they started in the sport. And in many cases they kind of stumbled into something that they didn't ever think they'd be particularly involved in, and turned out to be very good at it. So it does offer young people not just what they're good at, but what they enjoy doing, a huge wide variety of opportunities of different types of sports. And therefore there's no doubt at all it takes people into sports they wouldn't otherwise have done. In some cases hopefully be very successful, but in other cases actually just simply enjoy being involved in the sport, without the huge focus on winning. The second half, yeah, I mean, clearly it's kind of motherhoods. I mean, sporting is, I actually think it's very healthy both physically and mentally. I think the disciplines of sport and the team elements of sport and the commitment and dedication you have to make to be good at a sport are very positive. I'm not sure what the words character forming means, but actually I think it does add to the kind of potential of young people. And clearly active sport leads to a very much more healthy lifestyle. And I'm afraid we're living at a time when our living habits generally are less and less healthy. So I actually think the focus on sport is a winner, and I think increasingly there'll be more focus on that as time goes on.
Did you have a similar opportunity when you were younger to get involved in something like Aberdeen Youth Games, or?
Absolutely not.
No?
My exposure to sport was football. I think all young people play a bit of football. Then I played rugby at school. But I didn't. I mean, what I saw was it last June, and just walking around and seeing the different types of sports opportunities available. I mean, I suspect if I'd had that opportunity when I was young, which is a long, long time ago, I probably would have tried something differently, and certainly played a wider variety of sports.
Mm. And how beneficial are projects like the Aberdeen Youth Games in producing future leaders and athletes for Scotland and Great Britain?
Well, in terms of future athletes, I think yes, because it's just, I guess, back to what I said. I think kids will be exposed to new sports, and some of them will pick them up, and some of them will be very successful. I think, frankly, one of the big problems we have right now in sport is that young folks try things, and if they're not good at it, they stop.
Yeah.
So what I hope and think we'll see is a more focus on playing sports and improving yourself and being better at them. So it's like a benchmark. Can we do better as each year goes by? So, but I think it will produce successful sports people, and I think sports is as important in producing leaders as academic achievement and other achievement. So I think it absolutely is. I mean, it adds an awful lot to discipline and determination and setting yourself objectives and commitment. And I suspect our successful sports people right now are probably more committed than any other aspect of life. I mean, I was saying on the way across here at afternoon tea with Catherine Granger a couple of days ago, she's doing 7 hours a day, 6 days a week right now, purely focused on all aspects of her rowing activity. So it's very demanding and very good instilling discipline and commitment.
So last year was your first year at holding the Aberdeen Youth Games. How do you think that it went?
I wasn't at all sure what I would see when I got there last year. I actually think it was a great success. I knew one or two of the youngsters, and I've spoken to a number of the youngsters, and they really enjoyed it. So that's the first thing. It was a really enjoyable experience for the young people there. They were quite excited, and the whole thing about lining up and each being different teams and walking around the grounds, and so I think it was a wonderful experience for them. It was unbelievably well organised, bearing in mind you had about 1,000 young folks. I don't know how many you had, 20 odd sports, and you had to get them rotating around all the sports, and that wasn't easy at all. And I think that was done very. I didn't see much untidy aspects at all. I think it was done incredibly well, and the kids were clearly actually enjoying what they were doing. I think actually some of the professionals teaching them were actually quite enjoying the experience. So I think it itself was a great success. What's now important is how you build from there. Yeah.
And going on from that, in 5 years' time, where do you think the Aberdeen Youth Games could be? Or where would you like it to be?
No, I guess there's two answers to that question. It's moving ahead well in the first year because you've now gone wider. Mm-hmm. I think you've now linked in with the RGU sports courses. And I mean, that's something we haven't even mentioned. There's a huge benefit to the students at RGU from the experience they're getting, from the teaching and learning experience they're getting. I think that's a massive plus. You've now linked in with Aberdeen College, so we've got a wider group of students involved in actually the experience of what they're going to do with their careers and enhancing that. Robert Gordon University is, as you all know, is incredibly successful in terms of employment of its graduates, and this is wonderful work experience for these graduates. So I think the fact you've gone wider, I think the fact it isn't just the one big day now, but I think there's 4 or 5 regional days. So it's broadened its base, and I think that's the way it should go. I think it should. I don't think it needs to change the basic formula. The basic formula is introducing and enthusing young people in a wide variety of sports, and I think that's we focus. So I would hope 3 or 4 years' time, rather than just covering 1,000 youngsters, I don't know, I think the cohort of youngsters in Aberdeen is something like 15,000, 16,000. So maybe you try and cover 3,000 or 4,000 or 5,000 youngsters in the same way, and I think it'll make a big contribution.
Okay, thank you for coming here.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Good luck with what you do.